The year was 1912, the date April 10th. A cold, clear night. The largest ship ever built stood proudly in the harbor, bathed in the glow of electric lights. The RMS Titanic, a marvel of engineering, a floating palace. She was the embodiment of human ambition, a testament to our desire to conquer nature itself. Thousands gathered to witness her maiden voyage, a journey destined for New York City. Hope filled the air, a shared dream of new beginnings. As the sun began to set, the Titanic slowly pulled away from the dock. Her massive propellers churned the water, leaving a trail of white foam in her wake. On board, over 2,200 souls, a microcosm of society, embarked on their transatlantic adventure. There were wealthy industrialists seeking new markets for their fortunes, immigrants chasing the promise of a better life in the land of opportunity, families setting off to build new futures. The Titanic cut through the dark waters, her lights twinkling like stars against the night sky. She was a beacon of progress, a symbol of human ingenuity. But unknown to those aboard, a silent menace lurked beneath the waves. An icy giant waiting to meet the ship of dreams. A fateful encounter that would forever change the course of history. The Titanic was a city at sea. Divided by an invisible line, life on board mirrored the stark social divisions of the time. For the elite few in first class, luxury knew no bounds. Opulent suites adorned with fine wood and plush carpets offered breathtaking ocean views.
Days were filled with leisurely strolls along the expansive decks, afternoon tea served in elegant lounges, and formal dinners that stretched late into the night. A live orchestra played enchanting melodies. Laughter and the clinking of champagne glasses filled the air. The worries of the world seemed a distant memory.
Below deck, life in third class was a stark contrast. Families crammed into modest cabins, sharing cramped spaces and limited amenities. Yet, even here, hope lingered. The journey, though challenging, was a bridge to a brighter future.
Children played in the corridors, their laughter echoing through the ship. Stories were shared, dreams exchanged. For a brief moment, the vastness of the ocean blurred the lines between them, uniting all on board with a shared sense of adventure.
As the Titanic steamed westward, Captain Edward Smith exuded confidence. A seasoned mariner, he had complete faith in his ship, the largest and supposedly safest ever built. The Titanic was proclaimed unsinkable, a testament to human engineering.
But amidst the grandeur and gaiety, a chill settled in the air. Wireless operators began receiving warnings from other ships. Messages crackled through the ether, speaking of icebergs in the Titanic's path. These warnings, however, were disregarded. The Titanic was thought to be invincible. Her speed was maintained. The festivities continued.
The night of April 14th descended, cloaking the ocean in an eerie stillness. The temperature plummeted. The sea, usually alive with the sounds of waves, lay eerily calm, like a sheet of glass. High above in the crow's nest, lookouts strained their eyes against the darkness. The vastness of the ocean offered no comfort. Only the biting wind and the faintest glimmer of starlight pierced the gloom.
Iceberg, right ahead. The warning came too late. The Titanic, sailing at full speed, scraped along the submerged edge of a massive iceberg. The impact, though seemingly slight at first, sent a shudder through the ship.
Down in the bowels of the ship, the collision was felt with terrifying force. Water poured into the Titanic's hull, flooding the forward compartments. The unsinkable ship was mortally wounded. Panic began to stir among the crew.
Captain Smith, his face etched with disbelief, rushed to assess the damage. The news was grim. The Titanic was taking on water rapidly. The unthinkable was happening. His ship, his pride, was sinking. The order to prepare the lifeboats for launch was given. A sense of urgency filled the air, replacing the previous atmosphere of carefree joy.
As the gravity of the situation sunk in, panic spread like wildfire through the ship.
The band played on, their music a feeble attempt to calm the growing fear.
In the first-class cabins, confusion reigned as wealthy passengers struggled to comprehend the unfolding disaster.
The cries of children echoed through the corridors, their small voices filled with terror.
On the tilting decks, chaos reigned. Husbands desperately searched for wives, mothers for their children.
The lifeboats, tragically inadequate for the number of passengers and crew, were lowered into the icy waters.
The women and children first protocol was followed, leading to heartbreaking scenes of families torn apart.
Mothers kissed their children goodbye, their eyes filled with a love that transcended even death itself.
Husbands placed their wives' hands in the care of strangers, clinging to the desperate hope of seeing them again. The lifeboats, bobbing like fragile leaves on the surface of the vast ocean, offered a slim chance of survival. Each departure left behind a dwindling number on the sinking ship, their hopes fading with every passing moment. In the face of unimaginable terror, acts of courage and selflessness shone through. Men stepped back, urging their loved ones to take their places on the lifeboats. Strangers comforted one another, sharing words of hope and prayers. The human spirit, though tested to its core, flickered defiantly against the encroaching darkness. As the Titanic sank lower, the angle of the deck grew steeper. The band played on, their music a haunting soundtrack to the tragedy unfolding before them. The once vibrant heart of the ship, now a scene of utter despair, echoed with the cries of those left behind. Hours after the collision, as the Titanic stood almost vertically in the water, her lights flickered and died. The ship, once a symbol of human achievement, slipped beneath the waves, taking with her over 1,500 souls. In the icy waters, hundreds clung to debris, their cries for help swallowed by the vastness of the ocean. The night air was filled with the chilling sounds of human suffering, the desperate gasps for air, the fading cries of those succumbing to the cold. The lucky few who managed to board lifeboats could only watch in horror as the ship that had been their lifeline disappeared beneath the waves. Then, in the distance, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon, the faint lights of a ship approaching through the darkness. The RMS Carpathia, responding to the Titanic's distress calls, had arrived.
In the icy waters, hundreds clung to debris, their cries for help swallowed by the vastness of the ocean. The night air was filled with the chilling sounds of human suffering, the desperate gasps for air, the fading cries of those succumbing to the cold. The lucky few who managed to board lifeboats could only watch in horror as the ship that had been their lifeline disappeared beneath the waves.
The Carpathia's crew worked tirelessly, pulling survivors from the icy waters. Each life saved was a victory against the unforgiving sea, but for every soul rescued, countless others were lost. The Carpathia, now a vessel of grief and sorrow, was filled with the heartbreaking stories of those who had lost loved ones. Mothers wept for children they would never hold again. Husbands searched in vain for wives among the survivors. The lucky ones, haunted by survivors' guilt, struggled to comprehend their own survival. The Carpathia, carrying the weight of tragedy, steamed towards New York. Her arrival met with a mixture of relief and overwhelming grief. The world mourned the loss of the Titanic and the thousands who perished in her icy grave.
The Carpathia, now a vessel of grief and sorrow, was filled with the heartbreaking stories of those who had lost loved ones. Mothers wept for children they would never hold again. Husbands searched in vain for wives among the survivors. The lucky ones, haunted by survivors' guilt, struggled to comprehend their own survival. The Carpathia, carrying the weight of tragedy, steamed towards New York. Her arrival met with a mixture of relief and overwhelming grief.
The sinking of the Titanic sent shockwaves around the world. It shattered the illusion of human invincibility. The disaster forced humanity to confront the limits of its ambition and the awesome power of nature. The tragedy led to significant changes in maritime regulations. Improved safety standards, stricter lifeboat requirements, and the establishment of the International Ice Patrol were just some of the measures implemented to prevent such a disaster from ever happening again. The Titanic's story remains a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of hope. It is a tale of dreams cut short, of heroism and sacrifice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable tragedy. The memory of the Titanic, forever etched in the icy depths of the North Atlantic, serves as a solemn reminder of the human cost of hubris and the importance of humility in the face of the natural world.